Welcome to Creating Wealth with Jason Hartman. During this program, Jason is going to tell you some really exciting things that you probably haven't thought of before and a new slant on investing. Fresh new approaches to America's best investment that will enable you to create more wealth and happiness than you ever thought possible. Jason is a genuine, self-made multimillionaire who not only talks the talk, but walks the walk. He's been a successful investor for 20 years and currently owns properties in 11 states and 17 cities. This program will help you follow in Jason's footsteps on the road to financial freedom. You really can do it. And now, here's your host, Jason Hartman, with the complete solution for real estate investors.
Welcome to the Creating Wealth Show. This is episode number 189, and this is Jason Hartman. Thanks for joining me today. Today, we'd like to talk about the opportunities that are kind of special based on some brand new apartment buildings we have. And in the multifamily housing world, it is very, very rare to have an opportunity to have brand new apartments at the same time, have them offer turnkey management and have them 100% leased upon your closing of the transaction. So that is one of the reasons that we are really, really liking this opportunity. We've had a few clients buy them in the past, and they're in an area that we wouldn't normally pay much attention to. Sometimes we are interested in opportunities because the location is good. Sometimes we are interested in opportunities because the deal has special, unique characteristics that make it good. And with this one, it's kind of both. We really don't do much business at all in the more northern states where they have winters and things like that. We really do mostly like the southeastern United States. We like Texas. We like the Sun Belt kind of. We just reopened Phoenix, as you know, after being out of it for 5 years, kind of timing that market. And this is in one of our two areas that we do business in that's got a little bit more of a season change, and that is Columbus, Ohio. We really think this is the bright spot in an otherwise fairly gloomy area in terms of the state of Ohio. A lot of opportunities come to us in different markets in Ohio, and it seems like every other day someone's trying to pitch me Michigan. We've never recommended Michigan, but we do like this market. It's been pretty good for our clients, and this opportunity is very, very unique. So if I was to sort of rate the market, I'd probably give it a 7. If I was to rate the opportunity, I'd give it a 9 because it's a very unique opportunity. I might even give it a 9.5. So on this podcast, you'll hear from 2 different clients who have actually purchased here and done well. You'll hear from our local market specialist, and you'll hear a little bit more about the area in general. Without further ado, let's get to it. And we got a lot of great shows coming up for you. We still got to talk to you about debriefing on the Masters weekend and just a whole bunch of great stuff coming up for you. But these opportunities are fleeting, so we wanted to get this out to you as quickly as possible. So we'll be back with the information on this very unique opportunity in less than 60 seconds.
Here's your chance to catch up on all of those Creating Wealth shows that you've missed. There's a 3-book set with shows 1 through 60, all digital download. You save $94 by buying this 3-book set. Go ahead and get these advanced strategies for wealth creation. For more details, go to jasonhartman.com.
It's a great pleasure to have one of our clients on the show, and this is Henry, and he just purchased an apartment building in one of our markets, which is Columbus, Ohio, one of the bright spots in the Rust Belt. We think there are just a couple of spots up there that we like, and this happens to be one of them because it's a pretty unique opportunity with the sort of special terms that are available. Henry, welcome. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with our listeners.
Well, thank you for having me, Jason.
Our pleasure. First of all, with our network, how did you happen to find us? Were you a listener to the podcast?
Well, it's an interesting story. So I just had purchased an iPod, and, well, I go to the gym and work with it, listen to music and so on, and, I realized that doing cardio by itself is pretty boring. So I wanted
agree.
to download some interesting things, and one of the things I've been kind of studying the last few years is real estate, and I kind of stumbled onto your show, and I really liked it. I can't remember which episode I first listened to, but I think after that first episode, this is pretty interesting. So I started downloading the past episodes, and I just really liked Platinum's philosophy on investing and your formula and the way you go about things. And that prompted a phone call from me to your network.
Fantastic. Well, we're so glad to have you as part of the family, and thank you for finding the podcast and listening to it. So did you look at several markets, or were you particularly attracted to this one? And tell us about what you bought and everything.
Well, I have other properties. I have 5 other investment properties, and because the lending environment has changed a little bit, I had to change my strategy a bit. I think I was basically looking for more single-family homes. That's what I have in my portfolio right now. But because things have changed a little bit, I think it's harder to obtain a loan once you have more than 4 houses, I believe.
You're sure right about that.
Yeah. So my goal for myself is really to purchase at least one property every year. So I kind of wanted to stick to that. And at first I wasn't really thinking about multifamilies, but boy, it looked really good. So that's what prompted me to look further into it, and it's no looking back. It looks really good right now.
That's fantastic. So you've already closed the deal then?
Yeah, we closed mid-December, and I just got my first statement yesterday for the prorated rents and so forth, and everything is set up. We have an escrow account, and it's really easy. It's as I say, no brain damage. It's made easy for me.
Excellent. That's good to hear. We try to make this as arm's length as possible, so it's as much of an automatic pilot as you can get. And you know, Henry, I'm sure you've invested in other things over the years, like stocks and bonds and mutual funds and all that stuff that never seems to work for anybody I know, including yours truly. And
that's absolutely right.
A lot of people think, well, I don't want to be a landlord. I don't want to be a real estate investor because as such, I'll have to deal with management problems and it'll just be more complicated and difficult. But what they don't seem to know is that when you invest in other things, if you're any good at it, you're watching CNBC all the time or Fox Business Network, you're reading the Wall Street Journal or Money Magazine or Barron's or Forbes or Fortune. You really kind of have to be educated. Maybe you're filling out those proxy statements you get in the mail on those stocks you own or reading the annual reports. And if you're a good investor, you got to exert some effort. There's really no such thing as a totally passive investment as far as I know. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. Correct, Jason. I have money in 401ks and stocks and bonds, but there's so much behind the scenes that I just feel like I don't know. And because of that, I don't feel completely comfortable in that type of investment. I've always liked real estate, and the people around me that I've seen build massive wealth have done so via real estate.
Isn't that a funny coincidence that I just don't know anybody who's gotten rich in the stock market? And I know a lot of people. I mean, I hear about them. You know, I know who Warren Buffett is. I don't know him personally. But, of course, he's an insider and in a much different situation than all of us, right?
Yeah, and the concept of leveraging. I mean, if you went to a bank and asked to borrow money to buy stocks, it's not going to happen. So these lending institutions, even in this environment, they know it's a great bet. And they're willing to lend you money to create wealth for yourself. And I think it's a phenomenal vehicle.
Yeah, that's a great deal. If they're willing to lend the money and you get rewarded for borrowing from a tax point of view and from a leverage point of view in increasing your ROI and reducing your risk, and then also benefiting through time and inflation. I mean, inflation makes those debts cheaper to repay because you pay back with ever more worthless dollars ultimately. It's a pretty good equation. It sure is. So what you bought, Henry, is a pretty unique deal, and that's one of the reasons we like this deal. These are brand new apartments. How many units did you buy? Was yours a 24-unit or 16-unit building?
16 units, Jason.
Excellent. It's, first of all, very rare to find an apartment building that's brand new, number one. And number two, if you do find it brand new, it's usually vacant, or you're actually the developer of it, taking all the risk to lease up the property. And with yours, was it 100% occupied when you closed the deal?
We had everything occupied except for 2 units, but the rent was paid for by the builder as promised.
Uh-huh.
And And now, in the last couple of days, I understand they've both been rented as well, too. So we're sitting in good shape here.
So basically, you had, for all intents and purposes, the builder covered those 2 units that were vacant, and you had all of the other units rented, and now those 2 are rented. So you got a brand new apartment building, 100% rental income is there, no vacancy at all, no losses there. That's a pretty good performer. Do you remember, Henry, what the projected ROI was on that investment offhand?
I don't have the sheet in front of me. I know it's a 12% earned cash on cash.
Yeah, fantastic.
Which is great in this environment, so...
Sure is. Well, any other thoughts you'd like to share with the listeners about investing in general or this particular deal?
Well, I just wanted to thank you guys. Appreciate all your help. I'm a working professional, and it's nice to be able to have a network to work with. I know you guys do your due diligence. I know you build relationships in different communities, and it seems like you make it really easy for your investors. And I just want to thank all you guys for making it a great experience.
Well, good stuff. And thank you so much for being on the show and sharing your experience. Just out of curiosity, so you are up north, Northern California. Are you in San Francisco area?
I'm in San Francisco area. And as you know, Jason, the Bay Area, there's no way to buy investment property and make it cash flow. So that's why I like to look out of state. Yeah,
you got some pretty bad rent control problems there from what I understand.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They call it the People's Republic of San Francisco. It sure is a beautiful city, though.
I hear the horror stories. I have friends of mine who own rental units, and no thank you.
Yeah, you don't have any rights as a landlord. So good stuff. Where else do you own properties, and what other areas?
I have some property in Colorado. I have a couple single-family homes there, and I also have 3 single-family homes in Dallas, around Dallas area.
Oh, yeah, fantastic.
Dallas,
we just opened several months ago Denver, Colorado, and we've been recommending Dallas for a long time. I'm on my way to a big road trip. I'm going to Dallas and Austin and Houston and through New Mexico. Going to revisit our Albuquerque market, which hasn't been too active. I want to kind of get an update on there and see a lot of stuff along the way. So I'll be sharing my experiences on the show, so I hope you'll listen in.
Oh, yeah, I look forward to it.
Good stuff. Well, hey, Henry, thank you so much for sharing your experiences with the listeners, and we really appreciate you coming on the show.
All right, Jason. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
What's great about the shows you'll find on jasonhartman.com is that if you want to learn about investing in and managing income properties for college students, there's a show for that. If you want to learn how to get noticed online and in social media, there's a show for that. If you want to know how to save on life's largest expense, there's a show for that. And if you'd like to know about America's crime of the century, there's even a show for that. Yep, there's a show for just about anything. Only from jasonhartman.com. Or type in Jason Hartman in the iTunes store.
It's my pleasure to welcome Andy to the show, and Andy is going to talk to us about an interesting opportunity for one of our markets that we've done some business in, and we will tell you the geographical market here in a little bit, but I want to keep you in suspense for just a moment because I want to make sure that you focus on the fundamentals of the deal. This is a pretty unique opportunity. It's the opportunity to do something a little bit larger in scope than many who are just doing single-family home investing. It's an opportunity to get into a brand new product and sort of have a lot of the turnkey aspects built in. So we'll talk about that today. And Andy, welcome. It's great to talk to you.
Thanks, Jason. I'm excited to have the opportunity to speak to you about our product. I think it's a pretty compelling opportunity and look forward to discussing this with you today.
So tell us what you have to offer. I mean, these are sort of small-scale apartment buildings. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. What we offer is somewhat unique to the marketplace. We'll build a Class A institutional caliber apartment community of anywhere from 150 to 350 units. And what we do is we deed the individual units as commercial condominiums, which aren't to be occupied by owner-occupants. They're meant to be investment property and operated as such, leased as such. So by doing that, that allows us to then offer to the smaller investor an opportunity to own this caliber of asset. And it's quite scalable in that respect. Our average investor buys between 8 and 12 units. The fewest denomination of units we will sell in any given community is 4. Many of our investors opt to purchase a whole building within a given community. Our building breakdowns are going to vary from as few as 12 units. The next largest building is 16, then 24, and we also construct a 36-unit building as well. So very unique in that respect. We carve out Class A locations that we feel are going to be very well suited and perform well over the long term for our investors.
So they can purchase anywhere from 4 to 36 units as sort of, I mean, of course they can purchase more units if they want, but it's sort of like one deal, right?
Yeah, exactly. The deal size, it's going to vary based on the investor's appetite, obviously. As few as 4 units. The units are, in the building types rather, are 3-story breezeway walk-up buildings. We also have a 2-story product which has closed stairways to the 2nd story, just depending upon the density we're able to achieve on a given site based on the zoning code. But it's that type of product similar to an A.J. Spanos or Equity Residential or Trammell Crow, some other names that
the big institutional builders, right?
From a national perspective.
Yeah, and those are the big institutional builders. Now, what do you mean when you say institutional quality? Just define that for the investors, if you would, or the listeners.
Institutional quality, it's a Class A quality asset. So some multifamily opportunities, you have your duplexes or your quads or your one-off type of situations, but the quality and caliber of the amenities, of the location, of the construction is one that would appeal to an institutional caliber investor like a REIT, like a life company or a pension fund or a university endowment. So it's of the nicest quality, and really we offer that rare opportunity for the smaller investor to own this caliber of asset.
Tell us more about the deal. I mean, how much does someone need to come in with a down payment? And what might be sort of a typical deal? A few of our clients bought, I think, some 12 to 16 unit properties from you before.
Yeah, actually, we've worked with several of your clients in the past, as you know. And from an equity standpoint and a down payment standpoint, we have a host of lenders we work with here locally that love lending on our product. They love the quality of the asset. They know it's going to perform well because our management's in place. So with that said, they'll lend up to an 80% loan to value. So the down payment requirement for a given investor is going to be 20%. Sometimes when we're dealing with an out-of-state investor, they require that it be 25%. So that gives you kind of an idea of what the necessary down payments will be there.
But, I mean, lending has obviously been really, really tightening, and it is tougher and tougher to get. So can people pretty much, it's never for sure, of course, I want to say that, but can they be pretty confident that with 25% down, they can get financing for these properties?
Yeah, I mean, we've already, as you know, we've closed several of your investors in the past, and we consistently close loans. We're closing a lot of units as we speak. We're averaging about 30 units a month throughout this year here. So we're having no issues with getting our investors financing. And I think 25% down is a fairly conservative approach, and I think we'd have consistent success in being able to achieve financing for your clients.
And I know you're not the financing person, so maybe we have your finance expert on another show, but how much does it really rely on the borrower qualifying versus the property qualifying?
Well, the lenders, as you know, have gotten a little tighter and stricter with their underwriting requirements. They are obviously very comfortable with the asset and the product that we develop and sell, and they're very comfortable with our management because they know that the buildings are going to stay full. There is an element obviously associated with the quality of the borrower, and that's just going to be subjective. We certainly make every effort to facilitate the financing, and we have very great relationships with the handful of lenders that we do deal with on a regular basis. So we have a real strong success rate of getting our investors qualified and getting their loans closed.
Back to the property. So the properties are brand new, right?
Yeah, of the opportunities that we currently have, they are new construction, which I think offers a great opportunity. Obviously, in the marketplace, newer product is obviously favorable to potential tenants out there right now, and you're not going to have any deferred maintenance issues or things of that sort to where you're buying into something that you're going to have a major capital expense in the next 10 to 15 years on because it's completely new. And we've, over about a 4-decade time period, the time we've been developing multifamily, we've really defined our product and tried to make it as maintenance-free as possible. We use products that offer as little maintenance as possible, therefore prolong the life of the product and minimize any capital expenses down the road. You did ask a question earlier, which I didn't answer directly, which I'd like to now, about the cost and size of the investment. We did talk about the loan parameters to a degree, but as far as the actual pricing, on a per-unit basis, prices are going to range from $53,000 up to $72,500, depending upon the floor plan type. We have several floor plans throughout our communities: 1 bedrooms, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, 2 bedroom, 2 baths. We offer premier units. So it's going to vary to a degree based on which the unit mix a given investor is interested in, but very affordable, and our pricing is derived from the income that it can achieve. So we basically back into that number knowing what the income is going to be for that given property.
This is a very unusual business model that you have in terms of you're really building apartments but not holding them. You sell them as, I know they're technically condos, but they're really sold for all intents and purposes as smaller apartments. You'll build an apartment complex with several buildings and then sell the buildings or even the units individually to investors.
Well, it's a model that really kind of matured over time. Our principal has been doing this for about 4 decades now, and initially he started building duplexes and quads, and over time, as land costs began to increase, construction costs began to increase, quite frankly, it wasn't economically feasible to do that anymore. So at that point in time, he was trying to derive and create a model where he could take advantage of more economies of scale from a land cost standpoint, from a construction standpoint, and still provide an opportunity to the small investor. He dealt with local investors and smaller investors on a regular basis, and that's kind of how the model was created, and it's obviously been improved and refined over time. But there's always been a very strong appetite for our product. We're in a market where rentals consistently perform well, and it's very stable in that respect. There's consistent, steady growth. So it's just something that, quite frankly, I'm surprised isn't seen more prevalently throughout the marketplace, but somewhat innovative in what we do, I feel, and I think it really offers a nice turnkey solution for somebody interested in commercial real estate investment.
How about the management aspect? Your product is kind of a turnkey deal where people can get into institutional quality apartments for low prices. They can vary in size, so there's a lot of flexibility for the investor there. It's really nice. What about the management side of it?
As I touched on, it's a turnkey solution, and we have a top-of-the-line management company that handles essentially every aspect of leasing, operating, and maintaining the units for our investors. The management company currently manages over 4,500 units in our market, have a strong market share, have a great presence. And with that said, the involvement of the investor on our product is as little as they receive a monthly income and line item income and expense statement and a check of the cash flows on a monthly basis.
And in terms of the statement, one of the things that I know some of our investors were not used to in dealing with you in the past is that this is really a management agreement sort of run like a business, as opposed to just saying the management fee is a flat 8 or 10% of the income, right?
Yeah, it is. It's a little different in that respect. It's not as if you buy a house and you have somebody manage that house, it's easy to have a flat fee. But when you're talking about we're overseeing a 200, 300 unit apartment community with several different owners, obviously, throughout that community, basically from an expense standpoint, the investor pays their prorated share of the expenses. For example, if you owned 10 units in a 200-unit community, you would pay your 10 200ths of the landscaping cost or snow removal or pool repair, exterior maintenance, etc. So you're only paying expenses on the proportionate share of units you own. You're only paying expenses on any interior repair of the units you own. So that's kind of how the model works and how we're set up from a management standpoint.
So can you distinguish, though, the difference between that and a homeowners association? Because if you buy any property, either a single-family home or a condominium or a townhome, in a planned development where there's a homeowners association, of course you have an undivided interest in association property, undivided common interest, and you pay a portion of those expenses for the common area pool or the gym or the clubhouse or whatever. What's the difference?
There is not a drastic difference. There are some similarities between a residential condominium association. We are a commercial condominium association. What that affords us the opportunity to do is, as opposed to having a fixed monthly fee, we can pass through dollar for dollar expenses. So there will be some fluctuation. With a fixed monthly fee, it's just pretty much a budgeted guess as to what expenses might be for the year. The way our expenses work, especially on the exterior side, it's purely, okay, this is what we spent for the month, this is what we had to spend for the month, and these are the dollar for dollar expenses that are passed through to the investor and owner.
One question I didn't ask you before that I meant to ask is, since they're new construction, is the investor waiting a long time for the property to be built? And I know the answer to this as I'm asking it, but for the sake of the listeners. Or is it built and you've already rented it and then you turn around and sell it pretty soon after it's built and occupied?
Well, with our program, we can close very quickly, and one thing we offer is we have a rent guarantee to our buyers. We are strongly motivated to lease the units as quickly as possible for this reason, and we are very successful. Our absorption rate during construction and lease up is often far superior than average in the marketplace. I know one site we're speaking of now, we've seen an absorption of 25 to 30 units a month, which, just to give you some perspective, we would be real happy with a 16-unit a month absorption rate from a lease-up standpoint when we're delivering new buildings and new units within a given community. So from that standpoint, we guarantee rent. So, for example, say one of your investors buys a 12-unit building, and we've pre-leased 8 of the 12 units. We get our certificate of occupancy, the building's completed, and your investor elects to close. We go ahead and close, and for the 4 vacant units that are still remaining within that building, we will pay the monthly rents until our management company gets occupants in those particular units.
And walk us through a typical deal, if you would. Like, let's just take an example with maybe some real numbers. Say a 12-unit building. Is that a good one to pick, that size?
Yeah, that's fine.
So a 12-unit building, how much does that cost? Now, I know it will vary, and this price may change by the time someone listening to this calls because things change. But today, what is that looking like?
Well, again, it's going to depend upon the unit mix, depending upon whether they're 1 bedrooms or 2 bedrooms. But just generally speaking, you're looking at maybe a $60,000 per unit purchase there. So, for example, on a 12-unit building, using a price range of about $60,000 per unit, you're looking at a $720,000 purchase with a down payment of $180,000 if you're putting 25% down.
And what's the cash flow look like on that deal?
Our cash flows typically range from 9 to 12%, depending upon the unit mix, the location, which we feel is a pretty handsome return, given that this is a lower risk investment, the quality of the asset, the turnkey. It's just as passive as a mutual fund or 401k would be for a given investor.
All right, so Andy, we've kept the listeners in a little bit of suspense because I didn't want them to prejudge based on area, and the reason is that this is sort of what we think is the one bright spot in your state. We don't do any business in Ohio except with you in Columbus, and we've been working with you guys for about, I guess, 2.5, 3 years now, and Columbus has really some bright spots about it. Tell us more, if you would.
I love to beat my chest about Columbus, so to speak. Unfortunately, it often gets lumped in with some of the other Rust Belt cities that are having some difficult times right now. However, Columbus is unique to the Midwest in the respect that it is the state capital of Ohio, so we have over 70,000 state, city, and county employees. It also is the benefit of the largest or the second largest university within the entire United States. Ohio State University, many of you probably know, is located within Columbus, Ohio. There's 55,000 undergraduate students, 20,000 faculty. They're currently under construction with a $1 billion new hospital expansion. So it's a huge economic engine within Ohio. And many people don't know also that it's a significant corporate presence in Columbus. And when I run through the laundry list of names that are headquartered here, I always find people surprised and kind of scratching their head that aren't from the region. Nationwide Insurance is headquartered here. Honda of America is headquartered here. J.P. Morgan Chase, this is their second largest employment base in the U.S. with over 15,000 employees. The limited brands are headquartered here, Abercrombie & Fitch, Victoria's Secret, Wendy's International, Cardinal Health, Battelle Research Institution. So it's just a very stable economy, and Columbus always has been. You don't see the volatility here that you'll see in a lot of the coastal markets, quite frankly. I've lived and worked in both Atlanta and Tampa in the real estate field, and I've seen the ups and downs there. With Columbus, it's just a nice, steady, slow-growth market. A population throughout the metropolitan area is 1.8 million people. It's the 32nd largest MSA in the U.S., and we add about 20,000 people per year on a per annum basis. So from a property value standpoint, appreciation is very consistent in the 2 to 3% range on an annualized basis.
So a nice linear market. All right. Anything about the areas in which these developments reside, maybe a little more specifically about those benefits? I mean, do you cater to student renters or what's sort of the tenant profile, if you will?
One of the opportunities that we're real excited to put in front of you guys is located less than 2 miles from a new intermodal that opened in 2008. It's one of the largest global logistic parks within the U.S. Norfolk Southern actually opened that, and more than 300,000 containers through there a year. There's a railway through there, a cargo airport, and obviously tractor trailers through there. They predict job growth of 20,000 people over the next 10 years due to the opening of this logistics hub. Duke, Prologis, CenterPoint have major industrial warehouse and distribution holdings there. They continue to grow. So it's, again, a large economic engine that we see will be a great fundamental for rental product in this specific submarket. The second opportunity that we have in front of you guys is in one of the more affluent submarkets within Columbus. It's actually nestled between two of the most affluent suburbs within the city. Close to two of the major malls. Great employment. Limited is right there, their headquarters. A lot of office, just really strong growth area and growth submarket that we're really excited about.
Good stuff. Well, what would you like to say just in closing to kind of wrap up this whole opportunity?
Well, I hope we can do some business. I know we offer a model and a product that you're not going to find everywhere. And we've had a tremendous amount of success. We've been doing this for 4 decades. I think that speaks volumes alone. We've built and sold over 35,000 units in our area in Central Ohio here. And we continue to perform. Our investors continue to be happy with their returns on their investment. And for us, quite frankly, the most important thing to us is to retain our investors and to get them to continue to purchase with us. So we do that through the performance of our management and the location of our product and the quality of our product. And I think your investors will find if they elect to purchase multifamily units from us, they'll be real happy with not only the return on their investment, but the overall experience.
Good. Well, thank you, Andy. We appreciate the info. And if anyone has any questions, they can contact our investment counselors at the office or through the jasonhartman.com website, and we will have these properties up there. So if you just look at the available properties on jasonhartman.com, you'll see a map of the U.S. Click on Columbus, and you will see these specific opportunities there in our nice, easy, standardized performas. And our investment counselors will be glad to help you with additional questions, arrange 3-way calls with the various representatives in Columbus, and make this happen for you. Thanks so much, Andy, and we'll talk to you soon.
Great. Thanks, Jason. I enjoyed it.
Now's your opportunity to get the Financial Freedom Report. The Financial Freedom Report provides financial self-defense in uncertain times, and it's your source for innovative, forward-thinking investment property strategies and advice. Get your newsletter subscription today. You get a digital download and even more. The price only $197. Go to jasonhartman.com to get yours today.
Well, John, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much for having me, Jason.
So tell us a little bit of your background and how you found out about us real quickly, and then let's talk about your investments.
Well, believe it or not, I live up in snowy northern Minnesota. And actually, you could call it right now Minnesota, there's probably about 20 inches of snow on the ground right now.
Wow. Yeah, so much for global warming, huh? The whole world
here
seems
it's a little bit too fast, too early for our taste.
That's for sure. Tell us a little bit just quickly, and by the way, I so much appreciate having you on the show and sharing your experience from a real live client. It's always great to do this. We do it occasionally. So you had found us on iTunes. You started listening to the podcast.
Yes, I did. And I also got the free CD. And for people listening, I highly recommend it. It will give you everything that you need to learn and understand what you teach about very shortly instead of going back and going through about maybe 14 or 15 podcasts. It is very time-specific. The information is easy to understand. So go ahead, get the free CD. I did that. I also went back and I listened to the old podcast as you recommended. And very good. The older stuff, learn a little bit about what you teach, what you're talking about. And the thing about it is, Jason, you make sense. Good common sense. When I first started listening to you, I thought nobody understood real estate like I did. And I thought, here's somebody who's talking about real estate. He lives a long ways from my home in California. I live in Minnesota. And we're thinking on the same level. Unbelievable. What is this? You got me hooked.
Yeah, well, good. I'm glad we did. And by the way, for anybody listening, you can request that free CD. Just go to jasonhartman.com and you can get your own copy. Our team here will either mail you a physical copy or you get a download link so you can just download it, listen to it on your iPod or whatever's convenient. Had you invested in real estate prior to coming to Platinum Properties Investor Network?
I had one time in my own area. I also own a rental unit about 50 miles away from my home. A little bit difficult for travel. And I do landlord it myself. Sometimes it can be difficult, but I'm taking it as a learning experience. Otherwise, majority, I would do most of my investing through Platinum. Jason, you've got a great team. Thank you so much. I highly recommend to everyone. They will walk you through the process. Doesn't matter if you have invested in real estate before. Be scared. I am. I'm calling you on the phone. I'm talking to you half a country away. They'll hold your hand through the whole thing. And you got a question? Well, in my own philosophy is there's never a stupid question. There's only a stupid answer. I had a few silly questions. I thought, well, okay, yeah, that is right.
Excellent. You purchased one apartment through our network so far, and that one's in Columbus, Ohio. And then you're closing on another apartment in Columbus in January, I believe, right?
That is correct. I flew out to Columbus, Ohio, met the team on the ground there, got to know the city, which I have never been to before. I found Columbus to be a beautiful community. I was very impressed with it. And like I said, I flew out there. It was June, beautiful weather. I caught a couple of nice days. The apartment buildings, very nice. These are brand new. They're clean. I would like to live in them. They are very nice. And the people in Columbus, not just the people on with the realtor and the companies involved, but I'm going to talk about the people in Columbus. Very nice, good location. This is a community that is booming. I kind of recognize the signs. You've got a good school system there. The Ohio State University, the home of the Buckeyes, is there. Their federal government buildings is there in Ohio. Like I said, I've never been to Columbus. Good community, good people there. It's a good place to invest.
And let me just mention something about that, John, if I could just interject here. Ohio is pretty much a depressing story. I'd say Michigan is worse than Ohio, but there are in these areas the old saying, like, of course, you know as a listener, that all real estate is local. And so Columbus is one of the bright spots in the Rust Belt, which overall isn't doing too well. Obviously, the automakers are in the news and everything like that, but Columbus has been a really good market for us, and we're pleasantly surprised.
I asked the people with the ground team in Columbus, what is the tenants? What kind of makeup are we seeing here? Are we seeing students? What are we seeing here? Are we seeing people who have foreclosed on their homes? What is it? I was told it's all across the board. These are people who are getting a fresh start. You've got new couples. You have college students. You have people who have industry jobs. White collar, it is a white collar town. They do say that, but it's so broad based of white collar, and there's blue collar as well. It's a good place because you see such a mixture And also, there's a lot of building going on there. Roads, industry, and buildings as well for dwelling.
Tell us a little bit about the property you purchased. I mean, brand new apartment buildings, good financing, already rented. Tell us a little bit about that whole experience.
That is something that I was not expecting. This is a building, it's already full. The people are already there. You're not buying an empty lot and waiting for the building to come up. You're not buying an empty building and waiting for the tenants to come. Everything is right there waiting for you. So what are you waiting for? Pull the trigger. Pull the trigger. It'll be the best thing you have ever done. Get the good financing. 20% down is what the banks are doing. And let's talk about the economic crisis. I did this financing through this country's economic crisis. I had to have the bank call me up and say, whoa, wait a minute. We got to slow down here. They got tentative on me. I was ready to go. But pull the trigger. Be the investor. This is a great place to make some money. You're going to buy a great property, brand new buildings, beautiful 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom apartments. They're clean. This is a good neighborhood. The conveniences of home with a grocery, the box stores, the Walmart and Kmart and Target, all that. It's all right there, right close off of a highway, convenient to get on and off to go and commute wherever you have to go to if you work in that city. This is a good location. These people in Columbus have done their planning extremely well. My hat is off to them.
One of the things that makes it so unique in terms of this opportunity, and of course we have other varied opportunities all around the country, but brand new apartments, first of all, that's very hard to find brand spanking new apartment units. And when you do, typically, first of all, you pay a gigantic premium, and these aren't that expensive. They're a pretty good price. And then also, when you buy brand new, they're not occupied. And what this developer has done as part of our deal with them is they have agreed that they will be 100% occupied before closing the deal. So our client gets a brand new unit where the tenants have just recently moved in and they've got 100% occupancy. So a really unique opportunity there. Any thoughts on that, John?
When I heard that, I thought when I first walked in the door, I thought, okay, I'm going to buy a building. I'm going to wait maybe a month, 2 months, and then I'm going to have some tenants. Oh, no, they said. The building's already full. I just about had to pick my teeth up off the floor. I couldn't have, what? The people are already in there? Really?
That's fantastic. So
where do I sign?
Yeah, there you go.
Where do I sign?
Hey, so tell us what your thoughts are about, you had mentioned to me before we were recording about you were a big fan of Robert Kiyosaki and you were trying to find resources as to how to invest. You had listened to some other podcasts and so forth. Do you want to just touch on that briefly?
2002, I started reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I highly recommend Robert Kiyosaki's educational system, but I'm going to say it right now. Jason Hartman also is doing the same type of education. Robert's stuff is good. He's gotten criticized, I know, by the critics who don't know what they're talking about. I suggest listen to Jason's stuff, get on the right track, and get with Platinum and call them. What I had done is I had gone through iTunes. I was listening to real estate podcasts. I had listened on audiobook to Robert Kiyosaki's stuff. 3 books I had listened to. And I wasn't finding anything that was going to get me there. All of a sudden, I'm going through some other real estate podcasts. They're all talking the same stuff. And, you know what, they're all referring to Robert Kiyosaki. But then all of a sudden I found another educational outlet that also had a website to go to and said, there's some properties here for you to look at. Oh, go to jasonhartman.com. Okay, I'm going to do it. I'm game. I took a look at it, clicked on the properties. I took a look at the website, went through it very, very carefully. Listen to some of the videos, listen to some of the testimonials. Oh, yeah, that's all fine and good. Well, maybe I'll give them a call. Got the free CD. It wasn't not even a day and a half later, I got a call. Very pleasant, good conversation. And, of course, everybody is always a little bit skeptical. Yeah, okay, what's the gimmick? What's the show? No show. This is the real thing. Jason always says on his podcast, and I'm sorry, I'm going to repeat it. We practice what we preach. And, Jason, you do practice what you preach.
Yeah, I tell you, that is so true that I have sat across the table from people telling me to invest in this and that, and they're usually these Wall Street guys with slick suits and went to great schools, and they're making all the money basically separating me and millions of other investors from their money. They're not following their own plan. I love investing in income properties, and I just thought, why can't there be a place where not only you get the education you need to do it, but you get the help you need to do it so you can actually execute, because as the famous quote goes, the world is full of educated derelicts. How about a source that can really help you execute on the plan once you learn how to do it? And that's our mission here at Platinum Properties Investor Network. So I'm glad that you feel we've provided that service for you, and of course we'll continue to. John, what's your next move? I mean, you've got another apartment building closing in January. What's next for you?
I'm going to probably have to sit back just a little bit and watch that income come in, keep a close eye on it. By the way, it's also professionally managed. I'm not going to have to worry about a call from Columbus, Ohio to my little town in snowy Minnesota, northern Minnesota at 12 o'clock in the morning. For me to move on, right now I'm kind of stretched. That was a big step, and right now I've got some other things personally going in my life. I'm going to take charge of those as well, but I'm not going to stop. Using money as leverage. Folks, get a financial education. I took action. I found somebody who also educated, but also is honest and provides you with the help. Everybody's going to be scared sometime in their life. Good. That's good to have that fear, but you know what? You need somebody to hold your hand along the way. Platinum Properties Network is going to hold your hand. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead, give them a call, and do it.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, John, thanks so much for coming on the show with us today, and we really appreciate, of course, your business and your faith in us, and we will, of course, do our very best to make sure that faith is totally justified for many, many years to come. So thank you very much.
It's been a privilege to talk to you, and thank you so much.
Columbus is the capital and largest city in the U.S. state of Ohio and the state's third largest metropolitan area, behind Cleveland and Cincinnati. Named for explorer Christopher Columbus, the city was founded in 1812 and assumed the functions of state capital in 1816.
Columbus represents a bright spot in the upper Midwest region, frequently referred to as the Rust Belt, due to its highly educated population, strong economy, and quality of life.
Columbus is bisected by two major interstate highways, Interstate 70 running east-west and Interstate 71 running north to roughly southwest. The Interstate 270 outer belt encircles the vast majority of the city, while its newly redesigned inner belt consists of the Interstate 670 spur on the north side, State Route 315 on the west side, the I-70-71 split on the south side, and I-71 on the east. Due to its central location within Ohio and abundance of outbound roadways, nearly all of the state's destinations are within a 2-hour drive of Columbus.
With approximately 100,000 college students in the metropolitan area, there are a large number of people employed within higher education institutions. Large organizations include the Ohio State University, Capital University, Franklin University, Ohio Dominican University, and Columbus State Community College, as well as numerous other small colleges and schools.
In 2009, Ohio State was ranked number 19 in the country by U.S. News & World Report for Best Public University, and number 56 overall, scoring in the first tier of schools nationally. Top 5 graduate school programs include number 5 for Best Veterinary Program and number 5 for Best Pharmacy Program. For more information, contact an investment counselor at jasonhartman.com.
With a combined metropolitan area population of 1.6 million people, Columbus represents an economic hub of the Midwest with a highly skilled population that is propelling it into the 21st century.
Forbes magazine rates Columbus as the number 6 place to educate your child, with its strength pinned primarily on its private school options, libraries, and college options. This triumvirate of strength generates a perpetual stream of educated people to drive economic innovation and growth.
Columbus has a strong and diverse economy, which has allowed it to weather the financial crisis much easier than many other cities. With unemployment significantly below both the national and statewide rate, Columbus demonstrates a remarkable ability to adapt when the economy changes.
This is particularly impressive given the problems felt by most other cities in the Midwest that have stemmed from problems in the automotive industry. This is especially true for Delaware County outside of Columbus. With household incomes up 21% since 1999 and double-digit job increases, Delaware County currently stands as one of the fastest-growing counties in the country.
The economy of Columbus is based on a diverse blend of employers, anchored by the state government, Ohio State University, Nationwide Insurance, Bank One, Ohio Health, and Honda of America. With exposure to multiple sectors of the national and global economy, the economic base of Columbus possesses remarkable resilience against economic cycles.
Columbus has a generally strong and diverse economy, with Columbus consistently ranked in the top 10 for livability, business climate, investment, employment, education, and technology. Columbus represents a vibrant place to live, work, and invest.
There are tremendous investment opportunities in Columbus, with apartment buildings forming the cornerstone of growth potential for Columbus investors. The unique aspects of apartments that make them attractive are the economies of scale that they offer relative to single-family units for investors that are prepared to undertake larger deals.
An apartment complex carries the potential for much more revenue stability than single-family homes due to its larger tenant base. Because of this, vacancy for a small number of tenants will not significantly disrupt your rental revenue stream. Another attractive feature of apartment buildings is the fact that their classification as commercial investments means that qualification for financing is principally driven by the financial characteristics of the deal, instead of your personal finances. This can be a very attractive feature for investors that are having difficulty finding financing for single-family homes. For more information, contact an investment counselor at jasonhartman.com.
The upside growth opportunity for apartment buildings comes from the ability of owners to generate incremental cash flows through rent increases and value-added services. The reason for this value creation is because the market value of commercial properties is expressed as a multiple of their cash flow. Thus, increasing the cash flow of an apartment building effectively forces the market value upward by enhancing its cash production. This stands in stark contrast to single-family homes, where market value is determined by supply and demand, with owners and investors commingled in the pool of buyers and sellers.
It is certainly true that attractive opportunities exist for single-family homes as well as apartment buildings. However, a holistic financial strategy involves the understanding of different opportunities and diversification among various attractive opportunities to create more stability of cash flows and maximize the probability of realizing gains.
If you are interested in the investment opportunities available within the Columbus, Ohio market, contact your investment counselor for a one-on-one consultation. In addition to the investment properties, ask your counselor about our coaching programs, where they will work alongside you to develop a holistic strategy that merges attractive investments, solid financial planning, exceptional education, and a strong focus on personal values to help achieve your goals now and into the future. We are ready to help you realize the success that you have dreamed of. Are you ready to take the next step? Copyright the Hartman Media Company. For publication rights and interviews, please email media@jasonhartman.com. This show offers very general information concerning real estate for investment purposes. Opinions of guests are their own. Jason Hartman is acting as president of Platinum Properties Investor Network exclusively. Nothing contained herein should be considered personalized, personal, financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. Every investor's strategy and goals are unique. You should consult with a licensed real estate broker or agent or other licensed investment, tax, and/or legal advisor before relying on any information contained herein. Information is not guaranteed. Please call 714-820-4200 and visit www.jasonhartman.com for additional disclaimers, disclosures, and questions.